Morning, brothers and sisters. Naomi back for another video. To give you an idea of what today's video is going to be on, and you know I do strange videos. I'm talking about topics nobody else will talk about. That's fine. I realize that that's my purpose, that God wants. That's the reason I'm here. It's took me a lot of years to come to that understanding, but myself, just as I'm sure many others are beginning to come to the understanding of who they are in God and what their purpose is upon this earth. So today's video, I'm probably going to title it Mnemonic. So if you remember that movie, Johnny Mnemonic, Mnemonic, M-N-E-M-O-N-I-C. So mnemonic equals memory device, which would then equal dreams and visions, and daughter Zion's hands are the gateway, which equals the key of David. So we're going to talk about these topics. So let's get into this. If I can get this going correctly. Alright, so there's my information. So let's understand first this word mnemonic. Alright? And I'll post the link below the video so you can just hit on. It's in Wikipedia. Wikipedia. I always say that wrong, sorry. It's one of my habits to mispronounce words. But if I sit and think long enough about them, I can generally pronounce them correctly. Same as the word Diablo. I pronounced that wrong on a video. Or Diablos. I've heard the word so many times, but when I was looking at it, I wasn't pronouncing it the way I had heard it. Because it looked like a totally foreign word to me, and it was. But I'd heard the word many times, so sorry about that. Anyway, so mnemonic. M-N-E-M-O-N-I-C. Now the way that I got led to this word, it actually began many years ago for me. Not maybe many, well, probably more than I think, probably 3 or 4. I was led to a Greek word, and in that Greek word was embedded my name. That's what I saw in the Greek word. I'm going to be honest, I'm not going to lie to you. That's what I saw in that Greek word. So this is how I hit upon this word, mnemonic, okay? And so mnemonic, it says the first M is not pronounced in this word. So it'd be mnemonic, right? Not mnemonic. It'd be mnemonic. And it's a device, or a memory device, is any learning technique that aids information retention or retrieval, they got in brackets, remembering, in the human memory. Alright. So, and if we scroll down, if you bring this up and you scroll down a little bit, you'll find this word in brackets, and it's M-N-E-M-E. Now that is the Greek word, Strong's Greek word, if you're studying the Bible, 3420. That's your Greek Strong's number, 3420, for this word that they give in mnemonic here. So I began to speculate, because that dream, from the time I had it, was so symbolic to me. I didn't realize just how symbolic. It took me many years to come to the understanding, so I'm going to get rid of that, I think. I think I'll get rid of that. But I got led to this word through this word, actually, 3 or 4 years ago. And like I said, I saw my name in this word. My name's Naomi. And it's Greek, Strong's Greek number 3415. And it's M-N-A-O-M-A-I. So if we hearken back to the definition here of mnemonic, it says to drop the M from the word. This has the same similar Greek structure of the word, the M-N. So I'm going to go and use it, drop the M. And it's going to read my name, Naomi. That's what it's going to read. Now, I just came to that last night, believe it or not. But I knew the word mnemonic. I had been led to that several months back, maybe a year ago, I don't know. And, but I never paid attention to dropping the M. I never paid much attention to that. But this word here, 3415, Naomi, actually means I remember, I recollect. To recall, to bring to mind, be mindful of. And it'll lead you to another Greek word, 340303, mnesco, actively bring to mind. And it's a variant reading of another word, We'll skip that one. It means to be mindful. Remember. Middle voice of a derivative of meno, or perhaps of the base of mase ome, through the idea of fixture in the mind or of mental grasp, to bear in mind, to recollect, by implication, to reward or punish, to be mindful, remember, come, have in remembrance. Alright, so that, I saw my name in that word. Now, if you want to look it up, if you don't care, that's fine. I'm just sharing my own personal journey of how I discovered, how the Lord led me to discover who I am in God. Alright, and so this word I stumbled upon probably 3 or 4 years ago. It might even be longer, it might be less. I don't tend to remember time frames very well. But when I hit on mnemonic, that word, and realized, and it just really hit me in the last couple of days, or last night I hit on this word again, and it's the device of a memory, to recall, a memory device, and a learning technique that aids in information retention or retrieval. Now I'm going to speculate that God uses our dreams and our visions as the device or the learning technique that aids in our information retention or retrieval of who we are in God. Now, the enemy also, I believe, has possession of this memory device of our dreams and vision. So they can also send us, I believe, false memories and dreams. But only you can determine that through the Spirit who sent what, I believe. I'm not here to judge your dreams or your visions. They're your dreams and visions to determine, not me. I don't interpret your dreams. I've had all I can do to interpret my own dream that I was gave in 2004 and some others that led me to this understanding. So, I wanted to share this part here with you, alright? Now, what I was actually going to read, so we can delve deeper into all of this mystery, this greater mystery of who the daughter of Zion is, and she is the queen of the kingdom. The dominion belongs to her, it always has. She was rejected. When we think of the harlot and fallen Adam, we get this complete different restructuring of the theology in the sense that a woman's under a man. That's what this harlot and fallen Adam in their covenant agreed to, that she would come under him, that this harlot spirit would come under him and create a kingdom where all the daughters would be under man. The kingdom rightfully belonged to the daughter of Zion, and she was the queen of the kingdom, and the dominion belonged to her, under the context that God gave it to her, and then she was given covenant to man to teach him the laws of heaven. That's how this works. This is the true covenant of God. But when people take it from the harlot and just switches it around to the daughter Zion, they leave the whole theory all the same. The theology stays identical, it doesn't change. What was different about that old theology under the old covenant of law was that she was made his harlot. That's what the covenant was all about. Putting woman under man and making man the God of this kingdom, so that he ruled it through his law and through a heavy hand of violence, and one that would build him up under the laws that he created, making him a rich guy, making him look like a king. So we're going to discuss this, because this chapter actually, once you get your gender and you get your theology correct, then you begin to understand this entire passage correctly. Alright? And without that, you do not understand it. She is the key of David. And let's look again before we go here. Of course, it may tie in anyway. At Revelation 3:8. What does it say in Revelation 3:8? It says, I know your deeds, that's your works. That's 3:4:4:4. See, I have placed before you an open door that no one can shut. I know that you have a little strength, yet you have kept my word, and you have not denied my name. I read verse 8. Let's read verse 7. To the angel of the church in Philadelphia write, these are the words of the one who is holy. I made a video, but I didn't post it. But in that video, it is clear who the Holy One of Israel is, and it is the daughter of Zion. So these are the words of the daughter of Zion, who is the Holy One. She is the true, and she holds the key of David. What she opens, no one will shut, and what she shuts, no one will open. She has the power to do that. And her hands is actually represented, in a way, as the gates that allow us to enter back into the heavens. All right? That's what we come to realize. All right? So again, we'll read 8. I know your deeds. See, I have placed before you an open door that no one can shut. I know that you have a little strength, that you have kept my word and have not denied my name. Whose name? Mother God's name. We haven't denied. I haven't denied her name. I know that for myself. I watch my videos. I praise my mother. I never forgot her. Yet we are founded upon a theology that teaches a female God does not exist in the heavens. And yet it is stated plainly in the book of Hebrews that the tabernacle below reflects the one above. All right? Now you also have to bear in mind that this tabernacle below is based on a fallen theology as well, wherein the female came to be under the laws of violence perpetuated by that covenant with fallen Adam and the harlot spirit that he chose. Galatians 4, these two women are an allegory to two covenants. He chose covenant with the harlot so he could exalt himself over her. All right? Plain and simple. That's what we're looking at. She became the key of Solomon, though the key of Solomon is not actually mentioned as a physical key or a key. We get it that Solomon was the one who daubed up the walls, the gates, and David, his father, they're called the breaches. That was him shutting out the key of David. That's what Solomon did. That's why they exalt the key of Solomon, because the key of Solomon is a harlot spirit that allows man to rule himself. That's what that is. And he shut out the righteous spirit known as the key of David, known as the daughter of Zion, who the first dominion belongs to. It's her dominion. It always was. She is the queen of the dominion. All right? Christ held her up on his shoulder. He exalted her. And she is the last thing that was created in the garden. The woman is. She represents the glory. She represents the spirit, the ruler of that kingdom. Now, and we've done video after video. So here we have a reference to the key of David. All right? So it's a gate we're looking at, an open door. So in Psalm 9, we get, actually let's go to Psalm 24 first, right here. And it says this, in Psalm 24, it says in verse 7, it says, lift up your heads, O ye gates, and be ye lift up, ye everlasting doors, and the King, the Queen of glory shall come in. Who is this Queen of glory? It is the Lord strong and mighty, the Lord mighty in battle, who was denied a rightful place. Lift up your heads, O ye gates, even lift them up, ye everlasting doors, and the Queen of glory shall come in. Who is this Queen of glory? The Lord of hosts. That's mother with her children. She is the Queen of glory, not king. It is not a king we're looking at here. It is a queen we are looking at. And to lift up your head means to be restored back to your position of power. Now, I take the lifting up of your heads is also mean we begin to reverence our mother. We began to worship our mother spirit once again, as we were always intended to do. Before they cast down the daughters of Zion, said we don't want a covenant with the righteous spirit. We want one with the harlot so we can govern ourselves. And but who is these gates? Who is the gates here in view? Well, if we go to Psalm 9, parallel chapters here, what does it tell us in Psalm 9? It says in verse 14, that I may show forth all thy praise. And to praise means to basically lift your hands up. In the gates of the daughter of Zion. And I will rejoice in thy salvation. Salvation here is the number 3444. All right? That is the salvation of the Lord through these daughters of Zion, whose hands basically represents the gates. That's what it looks like. We have always held possession of these gates. When you get looking at these two chapters, Psalm 9, Psalm 24, she says, lift up your head. You're the ancient gate. You always have been the gateway out. You've always possessed the gateways out of here. And now I've come to understand a bit more about the mark that we're marked with. We are marked with mother's X. They've turned it up and put a cross, but it's an X on the daughters. It's the X chromosome. We carry our mother from the very beginning in our vine, like a vine in our blood. Mother is in these daughters' blood, all right? Which means that they hold possession of the gateway out of here, and they are the key of David, and they hold possession of this key. So she says she opens it. No one can open it, and no one can close it. She does, because this is her dominion. It's always been her dominion, under the correct laws of God, not under fallen theology of Adam and the harlot. All right? This kingdom is established under the righteous theology that we were always supposed to be teaching our children, and we can prove that in Micah 4 once we get our genders straightened out. And we proved that the key of David was the female daughter Zion, rejected out of her rightful place, which attests to the fact of them changing genders in the book of Baal here. And yeah, there's truth weaved in there. Mother's living word came through these daughters. She worked through these daughters on earth to provide you the truth. All right? And then man began to write and to change that around is what he did. So let's read Micah 4. But in the last days it shall come to pass that the mountain of the house of the Lord shall be established in the top of the mountains, and it shall be exalted above the hills, and people shall flow into it. This is the daughter Zion restored back to her rightful place as the ruler of the entire dominion. And many nations shall come and say, Come and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, and to the house of the God of Israel, not Jacob. And she will teach us of her ways, and we will walk in her paths. For the law shall go forth of Zion, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. And she shall judge among many people, and rebuke strong nations afar off. Now we're going to pay attention to that word rebuke. All right, let's write that word rebuke down, because the Lord led me last night in my studies to the word impeachment, which just shocked me, because I know Trump's going through a trial. They're looking to impeach him, or impeachment. I don't know how the proper use of the word is, but they're looking to impeach him, so he's going through this trial of impeachment, I guess. And but I haven't been paying too much attention to American politics. I don't pay a whole lot of attention to Canadian politics, if I can help it, because God says I establish them. You know, you can jot down whatever you want. The fact is, God establishes who's going to be in power, and everything is done for a reason. And I place that faith in God, that who's designed to be in power will be in power. Now, many don't hearken to that theology. That's fine. I know many who don't. But so I don't pay much attention to politics in general. But when this word jumped out at me in my studies last night, I knew the Lord had led me to that word impeachment. And so this is what we're going to look at. The word impeachment, it says, and she shall judge, not he. She shall judge among many people, and rebuke strong nations afar off, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up a sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. You see, this is through the daughters of Zion that this all takes place, because the government of God is much different than the government of man. The government of man teaches war, teaches hatred, teaches subjugation, teaches building yourself up with riches, doesn't teach equality. Women have always had to allow a man to give her rights. No, our rights automatically came from God in the beginning, not under no man-made laws, which is what they wrote under the old covenant with the harlot spirit. I guess it wasn't the old, actually the original covenant was the 10 Commandments. And man rejected those 10 Commandments so he could write his own law. And we're told those laws is what subjugates us. Hagar and her children are under bondage of what came from Mount Sinai, which was the law, because they wouldn't hearken to the daughters of Zion. They didn't want her righteous law to govern them. They didn't want equality. The men wanted to rule. And that's what came about under the harlot spirit and her teachings. She permits him to do so. And that's what's governing this world, the spirit, the principality that this world is founded upon, the principle. Go look it up. But they shall sit every woman, not man. Verse 4. But they shall sit every woman under her vine, and under her fig tree, and none shall make them afraid, for the mouth of the Lord of hosts has spoken it. So we know from our studies in Song of Songs, chapter 1, verse 6, that the Shulimite had her vineyard took from her because she began to teach his theology. She was teaching a lion theology and neglecting her own vineyard. We are told that her vineyard will be returned back to her. Watch what it says in verse 6. We've looked at this. Look not upon me because I am black, because the sun hath looked upon me. My mother's sons were angry with me. They made me the keeper of the vineyard, but my own vineyard have I not kept. Here it says, but they shall set every woman under her vine, under her vineyard, her nation, her country, her children who are now receiving her teachings. Hosea 8, she says, what does she say in Hosea? No, not 8, 2. Hosea chapter 2. Watch what it says for those. We'll lead you through some of these verses so you can put it together for yourself in your own spare time, your own free time. It says, therefore, behold, I will allure her. This is Hosea 2, verse 14. And bring her into the wilderness and speak comfortably unto her. Verse 15, and I will give her her vineyards from thence, in the valley of Achor for a door of her hope, and she shall sing there as in the days of her youth. So I mentioned in another video she had the kingdom ripped away from her when she was in her youth. We know from Malachi 2 that she was the wife of Adam's covenant, the wife of his youth, and he dealt treacherously against her, meaning he made a covenant with the harlot spirit so he could subjugate the righteous spirit daughters under him. We know we're marked with an X. That means our chromosome, mother's blood flows through us. Her spirit flows through us. And we will manifest on this earth as the gateways out. And the way that we do that is to show the key of David, to show the truth of heaven, and what mother always intended these daughters for, which was to keep the kingdom safe, fed, healthy, all of these wonderful things that she does here. So it is every woman who sits under her vine tree, her fig tree. She's received her vineyard back. These are the queens of the nations, receiving their children back to them because they are teaching the truth. What does Isaiah 27 says? So you can say fig tree. Well, it says fig tree. It's referring to Israel. Well, no, not necessarily. Well, yeah, it does. But you have to understand what that is encompassing. And you go. It's actually encompassing every nation on the earth. Watch what it says in Isaiah 27. I can find it here. Okay. It says, let's start at verse 3. Isaiah 27, verse 3. I, the Lord, do keep it. I will water it every moment, lest any hurt it. I will keep it night and day. Verse 4. Fury is not in me. Who would set the briars and thorns against me? How did the briars and thorns take hold? It became a cursing because of Adam receiving a covenant from the harlot spirit. That's how our ground, our bodies got cursed. Against me in battle, I would go through them, I would burn them together. Verse 5, or let her take hold of my strength, that she may make peace with me, and she shall make peace with me. Verse 6, she shall cause them that come of thee to take root. Israel shall blossom and bud and fill the face of the world with fruit, with children. And here we have them sitting under their vine trees. under their fig tree, under their vine tree, and none shall make them afraid, for the mouth of the Lord of hosts has spoken it. That's mother with her children. Lord of hosts is a title of Mother God with her hosts, with her children. For all people will walk, everyone in the name of their God. And we established that daughter Zion was God manifested on this earth. So it is saying each nation will follow their daughter of Zion, queen. For the mouth of the Lord of hosts has spoken it, and they will walk everyone in the name of the Lord our God forever. And that is the law that issues from Mount Zion. And these daughters who are known as the queen of the nations, who have received their vineyards back, each one has their own nation from the looks of it, and they have taught them the law of heaven, all right, which reestablishes this world as Israel, every nation. That's what it says. She will fill the face of the world with her fruit. All right? They're her children again. That takes us to Hosea 2, where mother says, I'll restore the vineyard back to her children. All right? Verse 5, for all people will walk everyone in the name of their God, and we will walk in the name of the Lord our God forever and ever. Verse 6, this proves it. This proves it. In that day, saith the Lord, will I assemble her that halteth, and I will gather her that is driven out, and her that I have afflicted. This takes us to Zechariah chapter 3. That's where this takes us to. And I will make her that halted a remnant, and her that was cast far off a strong nation. And the Lord shall reign over them in Mount Zion from henceforth, even forever. That is the daughter Zion. And thou, O tower of the flock, of the vineyard, of the children, the stronghold of the daughter of Zion. The stronghold is daughter Zion. And her words that flows through her through the Spirit. The power of Mother God indwells these daughters. Unto thee shall it come, even the first dominion. The kingdom shall come to the daughter of Jerusalem. Well, guess who it gets ripped from? Guess who it gets ripped away from? Verse 27, Daniel 7. And the kingdom, and dominion, and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominion shall serve and obey her. But watch who it gets ripped away from, because I thought I had that verse pulled up. It's in this same chapter, if I could find it. It says it'll be ripped away from him. Okay, give me a minute here. Right here, verse 14. And there was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not be destroyed. His kingdom that's the daughter Zion again. Okay? And they brought him near. So this is the daughter Zion being brought near. We're told that in Micah 4 that the dominion is restored back to the daughter Jerusalem, she, daughter Zion. And it is, these daughters all sit under their own vineyard, under their own nations, not he. It's here somewhere. It says it'll be ripped away from him. I wish I'd have marked it down. Yeah. This is an amazing chapter anyway, to read through it, because you get what they did. But the tree that this king grows up into is your fallen image in Daniel chapter 2. Alright? This image of a king standing in Daniel 2 is the one that the stone that is cut out without hands, symbolizing the daughter of Zion back in her rightful place as the ruler of her earth. It's actually a mountain. Mother says in Zechariah 4, I'm going to take down all of these mountains, these false rulers who are never your rulers. And she says, I'm going to level the playing field and I'll bring forth my ruler, which is the daughter Zion. And that's that stone, that mountain that is cut out without hands. And it tends to be representing the 10 northern tribes of Israel, yet to be restored to their rightful place. I say 10 because it's the 10 toes that the stone smashes and takes down this king, this false image of a king. He represents this tree that everybody currently is residing in and protected by. Well, they're protected by death. That's what that tree represents. It's not the tree of life. This is the tree that brought death on us. And we're all nestled in that tree like that king's gonna save us. No, that's the one that is brought down. It is the false image. And mother brings forth her own capstone. Go look the word up for your head there, or your capstone. It's feminine. She, daughter Zion, is your rightful ruler of the kingdom. And and it says it'll be ripped from him. It'll be taken from him. If I could find it. Right there, verse 26. But the judgment, this is Daniel 7, verse 26, but the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion to consume and to destroy it unto the end. So the kingdom here that you're looking at was that false image of a king as your ruler. That's your image of Baal, your husband, who wanted to be your Lord and ruler. Those were the archers in Joseph's blessings in Genesis 49. Baal is your archer there, which means your husband, who wanted to be your Lord and your master, who wanted to rule over you. And they began to shoot words. That's the allegory to arrows. They began to write blasphemous words against her. They began to record them on paper because she was known as the living word of God upon this earth. What she spoke was the law. And so they began to fire their arrows at the branches as they passed through the wall, it says. And you look the word branches up there, it is the daughters, because your daughters are shown as being your scions, as being your scepter, as being your rulers, plain as day for anybody who wants to go in and study it. It says your mother was like a vine in your blood and was full of abundant branches. That's rulers, ruling daughters, because of the abundant waters. And we are told that you are to find your own doctrine through your own wife, which takes us back to what Adam did. He dealt treacherously with the wife of his youth in Malachi 2, and he began to write laws of violence to subjugate the righteous daughters, and made a covenant with the harlot so he could exalt himself on this earth. And we're told in Proverbs 5 that you are to receive the waters from your own wife. Now we're told that. And we're also told that the bride is a fountain, a garden sealed, a fountain sealed in Song of Songs 4:12. So because of abundant waters, mother was like a vine in our blood, full of many branches. That's rulers, that's scepters, that's scions, that's daughters that ruled. And Hosea 2, we are told, mother said, I will take the name of Baal out of your mouth because he is not your God. That's what she states for anybody who can put it together. Instead of leaving the feminine out of it and blaspheming the righteous daughter, because she's your spirit upon this earth that you are to receive your waters from. But what does it say in Job 30 or 31? She says, you treat me violently, like you don't have to listen to me anymore. Let's look it up. I believe it's Job. We'll go to Job 30. Oh, frig. Sorry about that. Oh, it just... Now, why did it do that? Unbelievable. Just took everything away. Let's go back to Micah. All right, we'll skip that part, folks. The enemy's been attacking me all day. Because the enemy's a big old coward. That's one thing I'm beginning to learn, my own power in God. So, All right. But in Job, let's do it here. Job 30. I'll go to the Bible. What does she say in Job 30? She says, I cry unto thee, and thou dost not hear me. And I stand up, and thou regardest me not. Thou art become cruel to me with thy strong hand, and thou opposest thyself against me. And he did. He began to not listen to her word. He didn't begin to regard her as an equal. He began to cast her down under the law, under the lying law of fallen Adam and the harlot spirit. And the harlots began to come under his law more and more, and began to adhere to those lying laws and say that they were of God. So it is the harlot spirit that's ruling this world right now. Man hides her in his heart. He hides his covenant, actually, but it's exposed for us all to see, because though Christ was circumcised, men today aren't circumcised. And that's a symbol of having a covenant with the harlot spirit, wherein you love the law, and it's like honey on your tongue that is designed to subjugate her under you and go, well, we're the word of God, not you, so you better shut your mouth, right? And I've heard those statements time and time again by so-called righteous sons. Christ would have never done this, never to his spirit. He loved her. He adored her. He said, this is how life exists. This is how it exists on this planet. And if man's rule ain't attested to the fact that we are dying on this planet under this ridiculous, and it's religious law as well. And that religious law took full effect around the globe. It got fed out to the four corners of the globe, and it was daughter Babylon, fallen Adam's theology that fed out. It was not grace that fed out. Grace should see us walking equal, and we are not walking equally. So, so she says, you raise up your hand against me, and you listen to me. You won't listen to me in anything I have to say, because the law has taught you, your own law has taught you, that you're not to listen to any woman, because she just might lead you astray. Oh, he did that a long time ago. Galatians 4, these two women are an allegory to two covenants, and yet they say that Eve, and two, they'll put two males there, Eve and two males, and yet Galatians 4 clearly shows one man and two spirits. Well, what do you think Christ died on the cross to reestablish? The connection between the righteous spirit and fallen Adam. He becomes our second Adam, our new Adam, because he exalted that government of God, the key of David upon his shoulder. And I think I keep hearing somebody driving the yard. And and thou, O tower of the flock, the stronghold of the daughter of Zion, unto thee shall it come, even the first dominion. The kingdom shall come to the daughter of Zion. And we are told in Daniel that it gets ripped away from that false ruler who took control of the dominion, all right, and built himself up as a king, as a god on this earth that you bow down and you worship. And yet that was the image of Baal. Our husband shot at us and fired at us hard to take us down. And now why dost thou cry out aloud? Is there no king in thee? No. Is there no queen in thee? Is thy counselor perished? For pangs have taken thee as a woman in travail. Why have they taken us like that? Because we have not birthed the truth. So we're in agony to birth our children. And we get that allegory again in Isaiah 26, I believe. I always get these two chapters mixed up. It's Isaiah 26 or 46. Let's look at it. Okay. I probably got the wrong chapter. So Isaiah 26. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, so I'm thinking. Yeah, 18. Isaiah 26, verse 18. We have been with child, we have been in pain, we have, as it were, brought forth wind, we have not wrought any deliverance in the earth, neither have the inhabitants of the world fallen. Why would the inhabitants of the world fallen if she, who is identified as the daughter of Zion, had delivered something other than wind? and you get your figurative understanding of what when means here, because they won't tell you in the Hebrew. They often do this. They'll give you the figurative understanding of the word in Greek, but they'll not give it to you in the Hebrew. So if you go to Greek 4:17, figuratively it'll give you your understanding of when, and it means false doctrine or empty doctrine. So it says she has brought forth children that are full of false doctrine and empty doctrine. She hasn't delivered them. And we are told that the Shulimite will have her vineyard restored back to her. We are told that, and the word of Baal took out of her mouth, as your husband being your Lord and your master, and a God image without no woman needed or required, which is a reflection, supposedly, of this tabernacle below. And yet my eyes testifies to this as being a lie, this fallen theology as being a big fat lie, and a he that births us. This creation testifies that that's a lie, that these words written by men, Baal, are a lie. That's what this creation testifies to. What does it say now in verse 10? Be in pain and labor to bring forth, O daughter of Zion. What is she laboring to bring forth? If it's his vineyard, if it's his children to teach, what is she laboring to bring forth? For now shalt thou go forth out of the city, and thou shalt dwell in the fields. That's the Gentile nations that she goes out into, so she can enlarge in her birthright. That's attested to in Isaiah 49, when Mother promises her, I will enlarge in your birthright. You will not only indwell Israel, you will now indwell the Gentiles. I will enlarge in your tent, she says to the desolate woman here who has failed to bring forth her children. And she promises it to her in Isaiah 54. She says, I will enlarge in your tent. You'll not only indwell Israel, you'll indwell the Gentiles as well. So here she goes forth out into the field, that's your Gentile nations, as the Azazel goat, bearing the blame for what Israel did, which was to reject her as the righteous spirit and to install the harlot spirit, Babylon, which took control of the kingdom, the dominion, through a man, I might add. And it says this, and thou shalt go even to Babylon. That's what earth is known as, Babylon, because we're governed by those theologies, the harlot, which is under him and says, hey, teach what you want to teach. You teach yourself as God if you want, but you keep me hid in your heart. Isaiah 47, daughter Babylon, come down. There is no throne for you. The throne was always intended for daughter Zion, and the dominion always belonged to her. So it says, thou shalt dwell in the field, and thou shalt go even to Babylon. There shalt thou be delivered. She'll deliver her children out there. There the Lord shall redeem thee from the hand of thine enemies. How are we redeemed? We're redeemed through God's salvation, which is the truth manifested as the Spirit of Christ on this earth with the truth of God in their mouth. And that's how she delivers the children. And she actually possesses control of the gate to take them home. That means we're allowed back into the heavens. That's what that means. She has the ability to open the gate because she has the key of David. This shows us what the key of David is. We've done a study proving that the key of David was known as the daughter of Zion. She is your gateway out of here. And she has the power to open it, and she has the power to close it. It was always her dominion. Alright? As taught in the very beginning under God's truth, not under fallen Adam and the harlot. All you want to do is shift over the same theology, just make it a little nicer. But she's still under him. That's all you want to do. But the truth of the theology is that she is the exalted one. That's the truth of this theology, the true theology. And she is the government of God. There's an allegory I wanted to look at. I lost all my tabs. I must have accidentally hit the X. They're clever. They do that to me all the time. Now also many nations are gathered against thee that say, let her be defiled and let her eyes look upon Zion. But they know not the thoughts of the Lord, neither understand they her counsel. For she shall gather them as the sheaves into the floor. We know it's the daughter Zion that threshes. It tells us that in the next verse. But she's also Hebrew number 136. She sits to Christ's right hand. And Christ sits to mother's right hand in Psalm 110. And she is the scepter out of Zion, in the way that Christ rules, men rules on earth is through her, the righteous spirit, the daughter Zion, that was the wife of his youth. And he rejected her and didn't want her in covenant. So she had to provide another son. And mother, which would be Israel, mother Israel, the heifer, provides this son so that he is taught the correct theology that makes him an acceptable offering on the cross to restore the righteous daughter Zion back to her place. She looks at the son, and from him she connects to the mother. She understands the true theology. And from there she begins to birth her children. She is the only one, I forget now which chapter it was, that it's in Psalm 9 or Psalm 24, the ancient gates they are called. They were always the gateway out of here, always. That's what it states. But they know not the thoughts of the Lord, or understand they her counsel, for she gathered them as sheaves into the floor. She's saying, come get me. Come get me. You hate what I'm saying? Come get me. Judgment begins. And it says she will strike through kings in the day of her wrath. Alright? I'll remove the name of Baal out of your mouth. He never was your Lord and God. That's your husband as your Lord and Master. And that's your archers that shot. It was also the law that the king in the book of Esther decreed that your Baal, you would bow down to him as Lord and God. Alright? And it's got husband there. No, it's Baal. Which all those Baals, the word husband, 1167, derives from Baal, which is 1168, which is Lord. Meant Lord. Go look it up in Wikipedia. Maybe I'll post that link here too. Verse 13, arise and thresh, O daughter of Zion. For I will make thine horn iron, and I will make thy host brass, and thou shalt beat in pieces many people, and I will consecrate their gain unto the Lord, and their substance unto the Lord of the whole earth. All right. Now, see what else I got here. Okay. I was led to the word impeachment. Yeah, that was the other thing. Oh, I'm glad I wrote some stuff down. Let me see how much I got left. All right, I'm in 47 minutes. I might have time to do it. So, the word I was given, because the Lord gives me words, but the Lord was the Hebrew word 8433. Now, I wanted to connect a lot of things here, but my memory just won't allow me to yet. But if you look up that Hebrew word 8433, it means to rebuke. It means to correct, all right? Which then also, the derivative of that word took me to what the Lord was doing in Psalm 50, which we've discussed this chapter before. But this word here, 8433, to rebuke or correct, led me to the word impeachment, because when you scroll down and you look at that word, one says argument, impeachment, spoken by lips and mouth. And from that word is derived 3198, which means to rebuke. It's used as the translation in some of the other translations, but it means to decide, judge, and to prove, which will then lead you to Psalm 50, verse 21, which is what I've already talked on. And the Lord doing the rebuking there is Daughter Zion's number 136. So we have the court established here. What chapter am I looking for? 50. See how bad my memory is? We'll look at the verse right quick before we look at the definitions of impeachment. 50 verse 21. She says, these things hast thou done. You have done all of this violence in the earth. You have shed blood. You have made yourself rich. You have built yourself up as a king and as a god on this earth to the debasement of the righteous spirit and her righteous daughters, which are cut from her, which symbolizes the X chromosome, which is nothing. It's the Y that's everything. Well, the Y had a piece broke off of it. Look at it. It was the X that created you. No Y could create an X. You can't add nothing to yourself. But to create the male, she did have to take away a part by the looks of it. These things hast thou done, and I kept silence. Thou thoughtest that I was altogether like you. You thought I was going to fall in line. These righteous daughters who were cut from their mother with the truth. And they've always held it in their heart. Oh, it might have been a little buried by all the lies of the theology. But she thought, you thought I was just like you. You thought eventually I was going to turn to your way, and I was going to forget who I truly was. But she says, these things hast thou done, and I kept silence. Thou thoughtest that I was altogether such as one as thyself, but I will reprove thee. That's 3198. To decide, a judge, to prove her case. And I will set them in order before thine eyes. This is the court case. And she begins to present her truth. This is how she takes back her children. This is the shameful spewing that comes upon his foreskin. His covenant that he has with the harlot spirit that he hides in his heart. She says in Isaiah 47, no one sees me. I will never be widowless. I will never be childless. They'll always be mine. Because I'm hid in his heart and nobody's going to discover different. And yet he's not circumcised. Christ was circumcised. Oh, but that was under the law. No, they put it under the law because they wanted it under the law. So they could teach it as, oh, grace now. It's grace, so we can get rid of that. But we can still subjugate the sisters under grace. It's amazing how it works. It's amazing. It's honey on their tongue. They'll do what they want. But it's cobra's venom in their stomach. It is killing them. It's not saving them. But it's clear here. She says, you thought I was just like you. You thought I was going to fall in line with your snare, your trap. And I forget the chapter I had pulled up. He falls into his own snare and his own trap. He can't get away. He don't know the truth anymore. He lost sight of the truth. And he lost sight of all the lies he told. But what's the definition of impeachment? The action of calling into question the integrity or validity of something. Example, the prosecutor's detailed impeachment of the character witness. So here we're bringing witnesses in. I think literally what I'm doing is I'm witnessing to a truth. I've been called to the stand to witness to this truth. I believe that now. A charge of treason or another crime against a state. That's the British. A charge of treason or another crime against state. So let's look the definition of treason up. Definition of treason: the crime of betraying one's country, especially by attempting to kill the sovereign. That's what the daughter of Zion is called. Number 136, she's often called the sovereign Lord. Or overthrow the government. So, treachery, other words given for this, is treachery, disloyalty, betrayal, and faithlessness. And we are told that he dealt treacherously with the wife of his youth that was given in covenant. He dealt treacherously and unfaithfully. He was in treason. He was found to be in treason. He went against daughter Zion. And she was Israel upon this earth, and she was the way that God ruled upon this earth. That takes me to Revelations also. That's another thing I wanted to look at. Right? Yeah. But we're also told, before we get into this revelation that I want to look at, with Psalm 9, 9:9, it says, the Lord is your refuge, which the word there is your stronghold, 4869. So, but when we go to Psalm 24:9, it says stronghold, and when you look that word up, it tells you it's unassailable. It's unable, and unassailable means unable to be attacked, questioned, or defeated. All right? And so when she takes these children out through her gate of safety, it says she takes you to a high place, to a place of refuge and of safety. And she's able to do that. Only she can give you the authority to go out through that gate, because the gate's hers. She can do that. Now that's what we've come to understand. But in Revelations, is it 17? You see, it took all my references away. I believe it was 17. No, maybe it wasn't. Excuse me. It may have been Revelations 5. Let's look at that. Let me see here. Okay, I can't find it, but it says round about the throne. It was emerald in color, and yet it says like a rainbow, it says. And let me look it up. Let me just quickly look it up here, okay? Okay, let's Google this. Okay, Strong's Greek rainbow. Let's look that up. Okay, and the number is 2463. Okay, and our reference is found in Revelations 4:3, and it's also the birthright holder holds a rainbow upon her head, Revelations 10. We already discussed that in a previous verse. But let's pull up Revelations 4:3, and we'll read what it actually says. All right? Okay, so this is what it says. It says, and the one who sat there had the appearance of jasper and ruby, and a rainbow that shone like an emerald encircled the throne. Well, what I speculated that means, it means actually, it looks like the government of God was symbolized by wearing mantles of emerald. That was the color. But that's also how you get the allegory to the rainbow. So you have the sevenfold spirit, which is 7 different colors, or even the tribes of Israel, which were represented by different colors on the breastplate. So you get the allegory to a rainbow, and while they're each from their own tribes with their own colors, it looks like they may have worn mantles of emerald that symbolizes them as the government of God. All right, so that's a possibility. It's a reconciliation of the facts that you see there, and that's one way to see it. But she also, these daughters were known by this mantle that they wore. It's indicated in the scriptures. They are clearly known by these mantles. And here in the heavenlies, it's emerald. Now they were ripping mantles off of these daughters in Micah chapter 2. Like they were men at war with them. And they were, as they passed through the gates of David, because this was the rightful birthright to make the laws on Mount Zion that governed Israel as a whole. They were tearing these mantles off. Now what color the mantles were here, I don't know. It doesn't really indicate. But here it seems to indicate that the government of God is indicated as emerald in color. And so these daughters would, it looks like they would go into the assembly place, which was generally considered the marketplace, and there they would make their righteous rules. They would rule and judge and saw that equality was kept to the forefront of whatever situation came into play. And so that's what it looks like. So that was one thing I wanted to share. Another thing I wanted to share with you, and I did have other things I wanted to share, but mnemonic, absolutely fascinating word. You want to look it up. And the daughters of Zion, their hands is the gateway. They actually, I don't know if we can make gateways with our hands or what we can do. And I tend to view that gateway as an eternal circle that represents the womb with an X. You see that over everything. I think that represents our gateways that we possess. And we've always possessed them. I'm just about done here. Let's just look at Psalm 24. It says they are eternal gates. They have always possessed these gates, and they are the key of David. And she who has the clean hands and pure heart, you find her in Song of Songs. Her fingers dripped with myrrh, and only she could open the gate. She had a pure heart. She was called the pure one of her mother, and only mother can crown the son with this crown, known as the daughter of Zion. Everlasting gates. Yeah, see, they're ancient gates. Lift up your heads, O ye gates. Restore, be restored. To lift up your head. We discussed that in another video. It means to be restored back to your rightful place. And lift up, ye ancient gates, ye ancient doors. You were from the beginning. These gates are us. We're the gates. Anyway, that's a study I wanted to share with you. I know it was a bit off in places. Sorry about that. But there's some stuff you can go in and look at yourself, make a few connections maybe for yourself, and start to look at things differently. Start to look at them through the Spirit's eyes, and not this fallen theology. I get my true theology out of this word as well. So thanks for watching. I appreciate it.